And with that, let's now dive into this segment with our top focus on cricket. In fact, we are learning that the Indian Test captain Rohit Sharma is going to be very well rested just ahead of the Border Gavaskar series in Sydney. He will be making that grand return. And remember, this return is also coming at a very controversial time when we've already seen how Gautam Gambhir's dressing room conversation has already been peaking. And at this time, we are also learning that as Rohit Sharma returns, reports are suggesting that he has informed coach Gautam Gambhir and chairman of selectors Ajit Agarkar of his decision to in fact opt out. It comes amid his poor outing with the bat in the ongoing Border Gavaskar Trophy against Australia so far. However, India head coach Gautam Gambhir has not ruled out the prospect of Rohit sitting out the series decider. When asked about Rohit Sharma, Gambhir has said that everything is fine with Rohit but gives no clarity if he will play or not. That is, in fact, the top focus right now for us, and some significant, in fact, decisions being taken. Many are also saying that this could be a deciding match as far as Rohit Sharma and his future cricketing prospects are concerned. But we all know that in his place, paceman Jasprit Bumrah is likely to walk out for the toss on Friday morning at the Sydney cricket ground. This is going to be just ahead of the Sydney Test. We're also learning that Rohit Sharma has been very well rested. In fact, let's also play out some reactions before we shed some light on what the larger picture is going to be like for India. Madan Lal, how do you see these developments, which was pretty much in the offing, you would say, as far as the Border Gavaskar Trophy is concerned? Jasprit Bumrah likely to lead Team India at the final?
Yeah, I think it's a very good decision, taken by the management. Whoever the captain is also must be in a part of it, because he is not in a form, and Indian they need a opening stand, So I think it might be a good decision for the team. For the team, I'm talking about.
And what about Rohit Sharma, you think?
No, Jasprit Bumrah is leading now.
Joined in by Vineet right now, who will perhaps be shedding more light on that news story. Vineet, how do you put this into perspective? Was this on expected lines, and how will this now play out, whether it is for Rohit Sharma or even a Jasprit Bumrah in as far as the Indian cricket team is concerned?
Well, it was on expected lines. I mean, right from the build-up to the Sydney Test, you could see that Rohit Sharma, first of all, the very first hint was Rohit Sharma not attending the pre-day press conference, which is actually the norm. Captains generally do that, but with Gautam Gambhir coming in, there were two explanations to that. One was he wanted to clarify about all the leaks that was going, doing the rounds on the media in terms of his dressing room talks. And secondly, this also was a big hint in terms of Rohit Sharma could not be, part of the playing 11, primarily because of his own form with the bat, which has been really poor in the BGT itself. He's been averaging just about 6 in the 6 innings in BGT, and his form has been poor, extending way back to 2023 as well. So the pressure was on Rohit Sharma, the captain, as well, and this you could see somewhere reflecting in his captaincy, as well. As a batter, he was struggling. It was reflecting on his captaincy in terms of tactics, in terms of personal changes, all of those things. So it was on expected lines, but unfortunately, what this has done is India are going into the Sydney Test with everything to play for.
We need first R. Ashwin, and now all of these reports doing the rounds. We also want to know what is going to be the impact on the cricketing future of Team India, but I'm going to do that in just a bit. In fact, we are receiving breaking inputs. We are now learning that even Gautam Gambhir's position as the head coach is currently on shaky ground, because CNN News 18 has spoken to an anonymous BCCI official who's gone on to talk about how if the team's performance doesn't improve, even Gambhir's position will not be safe. He was never BCCI's first choice, and some of the well-known overseas names did not want to coach all of these 3 formats, so he was a compromise. It is learned that Gambhir is not on the same page with most of the players in the team, and the communication is not as good as it used to be during the times of, say, a Ravi Shastri or even a Rahul Dravid. On that note, I quickly go back to Vineet, who continues to stay with us. Vineet, as you know, we of course be probing the big moot question: is it the interpersonal dynamics within the team, or the cricketing health of the players that is finally taking toll during these test series?
It is primarily to do with the communication part of it, with Gautam Gambhir taking charge, and it's always the case with Indian cricket. Whenever somebody new comes in, it's always a transitional phase. And remember, Gambhir, when he took over, everybody seemed to be on the right, on the same page. But ever since he has taken over, it has been kind of an unprecedented manner in which Team India have been losing. Very unfortunate. They lost to Sri Lanka for the first time in 27 years ODI series. Then New Zealand came in, shocked India 0-3. That was again a winning streak that ended 12 years. So in a way, Gambhir is under tremendous pressure. And whenever a new management comes in, there's always this talk of transition. There's always this talk of how the players, incumbent players, react to the new management and setup. Gambhir is an assertive kind of a player. He always has been. You could see that in the team management as well, with the kind of changes that he brought in, taking the punt on young players like Harshad Rana or Nitish Kumar Reddy. There's no clarity on why Shubman Gill was dropped for the third test as well. So there is definitely lack of communication, lack of clear thought process there.
Right.
Even for somebody like seniors like Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, it would be very tough. But again, this is a transitional phase, and Gambhir is presiding over a very, very difficult time for Team India.
Absolutely, and that is why I wanted to ask you, do you think that he's also buckling under a lot of pressure in his defense? Critics who support him would want to question if it's unfair to even draw that comparison between Gautam Gambhir and Rahul Dravid or the likes of Ravi Shastri, because as far as a dressing room conversation fiasco is concerned, he himself has gone on record to say that these conversations should remain in the dressing room and not be carried outside.
Absolutely. I mean, whenever a team is not doing well, I mean, these kind of things get amplified. When the team is doing well, I mean, everything gets, masked under that successful run. Unfortunately, here, Gambhir is under tremendous pressure. And as you mentioned, it's something on those lines where Gambhir needs to get the confidence of the senior players and the rookies who are coming in, which has not been the case. Talking about the comparison, you should remember Rahul Dravid, when he took over, it was not an easy run for him also initially. So it takes time to build that confidence with the team, and Gambhir is 4 months into this job. We may want to give him a bit more time, but then again, as he himself said, his job or whoever it is dependent on the results. If you are not showing the result, pressure would be there. And from Gambhir's point of view, there has not been a single result that has gone his way apart from the Bangladesh series, which they have won. As I mentioned, they lost the Sri Lanka series, they lost to New Zealand. Even now, BGT seems to be going out of their hand. For the first time in 10 years, India could be losing out on BGT as well. So tremendous pressure on Gautam Gambhir as well. Not just on Rohit Sharma to give you the results. Then now there is a Champions Trophy ahead. That could be one of those deciding factors where if India are not able to perform Champions Trophy, questions would be asked on Gautam Gambhir. The similar way we are asking questions on Rohit Sharma, the batter and the captain, maybe Gambhir could also be facing those kind of questions.
All right, certainly concerns that are bringing India's cricketing health onto the forefront. Many thanks to you, Vineet, for bringing us all those latest inputs. And with that, let me now shift focus over to the United States. 3 deadly attacks in over 24 hours. The first one hit, in fact, the city of New Orleans in Louisiana. The second one in Las Vegas. And the third took place in Queens. That, of course, has been a case of mass shooting. But remember, the first 2 incidents, whether it is the one in New Orleans, where a man, in fact, mouthed over these New Year revelers with his truck, and the second was a Tesla truck, in fact, that caught ablaze at the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Both of them are now reportedly being linked by the FBI in terms of terror incidents. Soon after, Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who remember is also an integral part of the Donald Trump administration, took to X. He's already labeled both of them as a terror incident, while the FBI has only established the first New Orleans incident as a terror incident. Now, let's also listen in to all the reactions and perspective that's coming across from CNN. Let's dip it.
Suspect in the deadly New Orleans truck tragedy had an ISIS flag with him as he carried out the attack on Bourbon Street. A police source telling CNN multiple suspected explosive devices were found in an ice chest in the pickup truck used by the suspected attacker.
The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill.
Multiple officials tell CNN the suspect made a series of video recordings before Wednesday's attack, claiming to have joined ISIS. CNN's Nick Robertson joins us live from London. So, Nick, you have covered ISIS across the globe over many years. What sort of influence does this terrorist ideology have in places like the United States, and how does that compare now to the group's reach in the past?
Yeah, I think there's one way to look at this, and this is what we've been hearing from intelligence officials. And we heard here in the UK just a couple of months ago from the MI5 chief, Ken McCullum, saying, look, he believes that ISIS is trying to have a renewed effort to export terrorism. Does that mean they're trying to send somebody from their camps in Syria or their setups in Afghanistan or in other places to the United States? Or are they trying to use their brand, their message, online influence somebody in the United States? It's not quite clear what it means, but it does mean that that threat level is up. The MI5 chief said in the UK alone, 1/3 of his resources at MI5 intelligence service were taken up with looking at international terrorism. So is the attacker here working online, perhaps less of a threat? Is he conspiring with others? Was he conspiring with others for other attacks? Was he alone through his actions going to inspire somebody else like himself who is, seeing a route of vengeance or anger or whatever it is through ISIS, through attributing their attacks to ISIS? So is there going to be something that will follow on? But I think for intelligence officials right now, the ISIS threat and the potential of it through lone attackers, although we understand he may have been working with others, is a very, very real threat. And I think what we've witnessed in the past 24 hours really highlights that.
Nick, can you talk about this campaign that ISIS has launched to recruit followers? How are they doing it, and how effective is it, especially in places like the United States?
They will try to do it online. They will try to influence people to perpetrate lone wolf type attacks. They will, and Al Qaeda was doing this as well about 15 years ago. They recognize that they can't organize online and bring people together to work in a unit of 4 or 5 people, something like that, to build a number of bombs and then move those bombs together in a coordinated way. They can't do that easily. The easiest way to attack is perhaps through a vehicle or a shooting. And that's what they're advising their followers. Find a pedestrian area, a crowded pedestrian area. Drive a vehicle at speed, the maximum casualties. This is how they're trying to inspire and motivate people. And they will typically, if they can identify people, motivate those that are going through some kind of personal, family, financial trauma upset. This is what we've seen them do in the past. And potentially that's the case here.
All right, Nick Robertson, thank you for that report live from London for us. Appreciate it. And coming up on CNN this morning, New Orleans officials weighing in on why some heavy metal posts designed to stop vehicles failed to prevent the deadly attack in New Orleans. Plus, more questions as the FBI investigates a deadly Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas.
We believe this is an isolated incident, but again, over the next few hours and days, we will continue to do our best to research that as much as we can and get to the bottom of this, and we won't stop until we're 100% certain as to what happened and why.
Right, on that note, let me also quickly bring to you all those visuals that have been trickling in ever since those disastrous attacks took place in the United States. The first one, of course, being in New Orleans. Let me take you through these visuals. This is CCTV footage which has been accessed. Remember, this is that truck that mouthed over the pedestrians. This is roughly at 3:15 a.m. in New Orleans. As you can see, this is Bourbon Street, one which is known for its nightlife. It's also a hotspot for tourists over there. Many of them were New Year revelers, particularly if you look at New Orleans in Louisiana. The timing is very critical. The Sugar Bowl, which is a football soccer match between university students, is currently on. next month in February, it will also be playing host to the Super Bowl. At the same time, we are being told that Mardi Gras all set to begin next week. So there's been a great influx of visitors, many of them being tourists. Now, this second set of visuals are the ones of the Las Vegas explosion that took place in that Tesla Cybertruck, which came, parked itself in the porch of the Trump Hotel in Vegas. And you can see massive explosion over there, detonated itself. The tank was carrying fuel, and it was in fact connected with a main detonating system that was being operated by the driver. The driver happens to be a 37-year-old man from Colorado Springs. This is what the FBI has been able to establish so far in the second truck explosion that took place. Now remember, what's interesting about both these explosions is the fact that both the trucks were rented on the app Turo, and that is the connect which, according to Tesla CEO Elon Musk, is a giveaway that perhaps both these incidents should be treated as terror incidents and that they are interconnected. Of course, the FBI on record has gone on to say that it is not overruling the fact that these two incidents are not related. We'll have to wait and see what the FBI has to say in that press conference. It will be addressing shortly. But in the meantime, let me also play out the reactions for you.
You'll hear more after me. However, I have been in direct contact with the White House, with Governor Landry, and of course a unified command who is present here. What I'm asking at this time are prayers for those who have lost their lives in the city of New Orleans due to this tragedy. In addition to that, I'm asking the public to stay clear of 8 blocks around Bourbon Street. Stay clear from Bourbon Street, 8 blocks around. Very active, and again, a unified command is in place right now. I'm going to ask Chief Kirkpatrick to give you an update. You're then going to hear from our agent in charge relative to the FBI.
Like around 3:15, everybody just chilling, we having a good time, music playing and all that. A truck hits the corner and comes barreling through people, throwing people like a movie scene, like real life, throwing people into the air, they falling under the car, all of that. And a good friend of mine actually passed away from getting hit by it, but the aftermath was really what got me. Like bodies all up and down the street, everybody screaming and hollering. You look down, you see somebody doing CPR, you look around, people crying on the floor, like brains matter all over the ground. And yeah, it really hurt me to see like one of my closest friends like that. This is my first time being in Bourbon. Insane first experience. I'll never come back. Like, you won't ever see me here again. It was insane, man. Like, real closest thing to a war zone I've ever seen, truly. So I was lucky to be alive. I'm lucky to be alive right now.
In somber New Orleans, warning this morning as the city processes yesterday's deadly Bourbon Street terror attack.
The way it happened, like so fast. It was just like a big blur. It's very scary. And how it could have been me and my mom, like it's just very sad.
New Orleans also preparing for today's postponed Sugar Bowl between Notre Dame and Georgia at the Superdome. The city's coroner has yet to identify the 15 people who were killed in yesterday's attack, but the victims' family and friends began to speak out about their loved ones. The University of Alabama confirming one of its students is among the dead. We've also learned 27-year-old former Princeton football player Tiger Beck was killed, and 37-year-old Reggie Hunter, who is remembered as a dad of 2, both Beck and Hunter texting their family members Happy New Year not long before the attack. Joining me now is Oliver Thomas, New Orleans City Council member. He also sits on the city's Criminal Justice Committee. Councilman, our thoughts are with you and your city on this very, very difficult day. I know you spent time at the hospital yesterday visiting and praying with the victims' families. Tell us what's happening on the ground and how the injured are doing.
Well, we're waiting. We're going to get updates at the mayor's press conference and the police chief's press conference on the injured, as well as the joint task force that are working with our federal partners. We'll get that this morning. But on the ground, we continue to assess the situation. I'm out here in the French Quarter in the downtown area right now, just driving around looking, trying to imagine looks like. What could we have done different? And we're still mourning. New Orleans is a festive city where we take pride in hosting events and honoring people, but we've been turned upside down. And yesterday, for me, was from the emergency room to 6 o'clock till in the morning till late at night yesterday. It was just thinking about what could we not only what could we have done different, but what kind of world, Manu, do we live in? And when I think about it, right? So think about all the resources we used since 9/11 with TSA. Think about all the resources we're going to have to use now to invent public safety. That money could go to kids in schools. It could go to our seniors for housing. But so in many cases, even if we're successful at preventing some of these events, the evil people are successful at making us redirect our finances that could go to help American citizens and help American programs, and we're putting it into security just so we can stay alive and be safe. That's crazy.
Councilman, you said you were trying to figure out what the city could have done differently. What's the answer to that?
I don't think when you're dealing with madmen, evil people, people who are willing not only to take lives but risk their own lives, I don't. This whole issue about mental health and people being programmed and reprogrammed, I think that's a real issue in the world today. But that's not just something New Orleans has to deal with. That's something that all of us has to deal with. So think.
All right, soon after, we've seen the kind of controversy that's now broken out, with Donald Trump also stirring the hornet's nest, blaming the Biden administration for these terror incidents because he blames the Democrats for being soft on the border wall issue, something he had been very vociferously, in fact, campaigning for. Having said that, this has been indeed a deeply tragic start for Americans as far as the new year is concerned, one which will also bring important security assessments for the country and for the incoming Donald Trump administration. Remember, he will be sworn in as the next US president on January 20th. And with that, we slip into a quick break. We'll be back with more breaking input. Stay tuned to Nation F5.
All right, moving on to more news from United States. 15 people were killed and at least 35 injured after a man drove into large crowd in New Orleans, Louisiana in the early hours of New Year's Day. At about 3:15 local time on New Year's Day, a Ford pickup truck rammed into crowd gathered on Bourbon Street in the heart of New Orleans, and French Quarters is where the incident has happened. And the CCTV footage shows a white Ford F-150 lightning vehicle driving onto the pavement to get around a police car before hitting the pedestrians. Now, police described the act as very intentional, adding that the attacker, identified as Samshuddin Jabbar, was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did. I'm now joined by my colleague Akansha Swaroop on this broadcast. Akansha, give us more detail about this accused. What was his plan really when he rammed into this particular area?
A very good morning, Sharon. It's deeply tragic that the new year for Americans has begun on such a tragic, horrifying note. This entire incident is being treated as a terrorist act. Also, not to forget the fact that we are looking at this entire incident where 15 people have been declared dead. Now, the FBI, which is also going to is already investigating this entire matter, will be able to establish the motive better. But it's important to highlight that this person entered the U.S. border just 2 days ago, and which is why the U.S. President-elect has also, in fact, denounced this entire incident as an act of terrorism. He's also gone on to condemn and blame it on illegal immigration, remember, which was a very crucial issue during his own election campaigning. And he's gone on to react by saying that when I say that criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. The crime rate in our country is at a record level, but nobody has ever seen. Our hearts with all the innocent victims. And that's what he's now questioning, that how is such illegal immigration taking place, because this man entered the U.S. border 2 days prior to the attack through Texas. At the same time, the outgoing president, Joe Biden, has been also blasted for his tone-deaf reaction because soon after the terror incident, the first tweet coming in from the U.S. president was Happy New Year, folks. And soon after, he was trolled, which is when he started reacting to the incident. And he's also gone on to talk about how he's already been briefed regarding the horrific incident that occurred in New Orleans. The FBI is taking the lead in the investigation and is investigating this entire act of terrorism. So, as far as these are the reactions, but the fact of the matter remains, Sharon, we've seen a similar incident happen where again it was an immigrant who had done it from Saudi Arabia in that Christmas market in Germany. So, yes, we'll have to see how Donald Trump now, the incoming new administration in the White House, responds to immigration. They're certainly going to be cracking the whip as far as illegal immigrants are concerned.
Akansha, I request you to please stay with us as we are getting a reaction from US President Joe Biden on this incident.
To all the families of those who were killed, to all those who were injured, to all the people of New Orleans who are grieving today, I want you to know, I grieve with you. Our nation grieves with you. We're going to stand with you as you mourn and as you heal in the weeks to come.
Akansha, like you also mentioned earlier, that how the accused had just entered US through Texas just 2 days back, and like you also mentioned that similar incident happened in Germany as well. At that point of time also we discussed how the refugees restrictions are going to of course increase. There is of course going to be a debate about how the refugees or the outsider enter the country. This is further going to of course escalate the entire debate over the issue.
Oh, absolutely it is, because Sharon, let's apart from Germany, if you focus on what's been happening in the United States, just days ago a lady was in fact burnt alive in the subway trains in New York City, and that was also done by an immigrant from Guatemala. He's in fact the identity of that person is he's a Guatemalan, and that again has given more ammunition to Donald Trump, the U.S. President-elect, to talk about it, and we'll have to in fact see what exactly was the motive of this terrorist who's involved in the New Orleans incident. As I've been mentioning, he crossed the border in his truck through Eagle Pass in Texas just 2 days ago. So it clearly seems that he wanted to disrupt these activities, because Bourbon Street, which is where this entire incident happened, is known to be a tourist hotspot. It's known for its nightlife. So you only had these innocent New Year revelers who were there, these party goers, 30 of them injured, 15 dead, deeply, deeply tragic incident, that too on New Year's.
All right, moving on to more news from United States. 15 people were killed and at least 35 injured after a man drove into large crowd in New Orleans, Louisiana in the early hours of New Year's Day. At about 3:15 local time on New Year's Day, a Ford pickup truck rammed into crowd gathered on Bourbon Street in the heart of New Orleans, and French Quarters is where the incident has happened. And the CCTV footage shows a white Ford F-150 lightning vehicle driving onto the pavement to get around a police car before hitting the pedestrians. Now, police described the act as very intentional, adding that the attacker, identified as Samshuddin Jabbar, was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did. I'm now joined by my colleague Akansha Swaroop on this broadcast. Akansha, give us more detail about this accused. What was his plan really when he rammed into this particular area?
A very good morning, Sharon. It's deeply tragic that the new year for Americans has begun on such a tragic, horrifying note. This entire incident is being treated as a terrorist act. Also, not to forget the fact that we are looking at this entire incident that 15 people have been declared dead. Now, the FBI, which is also going to be, is already investigating this entire matter, will be able to establish the motive better. But it's important to highlight that this person entered the U.S. border just 2 days ago, and which is why the U.S. President-elect has also, in fact, denounced this entire incident as an act of terrorism. He's also gone on to condemn and blame it on illegal immigration, remember, which was a very crucial issue during his own election campaigning. And he's gone on to react by saying that when I say that criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that...
Welcome back. Now, the controversy over Veer Savarkar is back because in a big honor for the late freedom fighter, the BJP government has now decided to honor Veer Savarkar by naming one of the Delhi University campuses in Najafgarh after the former freedom fighter, the social reformer as well. We all know that the Congress party has already objected to this honor being given to Veer Savarkar. They are in fact asking the question in terms of why should Veer Savarkar be honoured, and in fact the college should be named after the late Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. At the same time, the BJP maintains that they will be naming one of the campuses after Veer Savarkar, and the second campus will in fact be named after yet another Hindu ideologue, and that is going to be Sushma Swaraj. At the same time, there's a rift within the India Alliance which is now coming to the forefront. That is because the Shiv Sena UBT faction has now demanded that a Bharat Ratna be in fact bestowed upon Veer Savarkar as well. And this is what the Udhav Sena has demanded, but the NSUI president has also written to Prime Minister Modi. They are demanding a college to be named after Dr. Manmohan Singh. But as far as the BJP is concerned, they of course have been ironclad in their stance as far as honouring the late Veer Savarkar is concerned. They believe that he was a freedom fighter who was not acknowledged because of the likes of Mahatma Gandhi or even the first Indian Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Let's also listen into the political reactions that have come in.
Sir, tomorrow the Prime Minister is going to lay the foundation stone for one of the Delhi University colleges which is named after Veer Savarkar. How do you see this decision taken by the Delhi University?
See, it would have been very good had the college named after any of those freedom fighters who had actually laid their lives for the freedom struggle, for the freedom of our country. For those people, those had for a long time strived and worked very hard to see that our country gets freedom, and also for those people, those have huge contribution in the during our freedom struggle. People, those who have been loyal to British government, those who have taken pensions, those who acted as police informers. BJP is just trying to legitimize them because they don't have any icons of theirs during the freedom struggle.
So do you think that this is an agenda by the BJP to try to force in Veer Savarkar in...
Yeah, I would say that the BJP doesn't have any icon of freedom struggle. That is the reason why they would like to appropriate leaders who belong to other political formulations during the freedom struggle, or they would pitch one leader against the other, like what they have been doing of late, pitching Sardar Patel against Pandit Nehru, pitching Mahatma Gandhi ji against Sardar Patel, pitching Ambedkar ji versus Nehru, or Ambedkar ji versus Mahatma Gandhi. This is what they have been trying to do because they don't have anyone of their own. They talk high about Subhash Chandra Bose. They don't read what Subhash Chandra Bose spoke about Hindu Mahasabha and Jansangh and those kind of communal political ideology. they try to appropriate Bhagat Singh. They have not read the pamphlets of Bhagat Singh, who had written so much against communalism and so much in favor of socialism.
These comments by senior Congress leader wouldn't really be going down well with you, but what would you have to say about the Congress party raking in the V.D. Savarkar issue every now and then and completely taking his name away from the freedom struggle of the country as if he'd done nothing for India?
Now the letter from Jawaharlal Nehru to Lady Mountbatten has been coming to light. He was writing every day night, describing whole day what he was doing. So actually it is a clearly breach of official trust and it is an intellectual activity. So a grandnephew of such a leader is trying to cover up his great-grandfather by alleging on Veer Savarkar. Veer Savarkar, if he was agent of British, why British kept him in jail for 27 years? That is the first. If Nehru was not an agent of British, then why Nehru was kept in for 5-star prison, that is in palaces and forts in a luxurious way? My question is very simple. The enemies of Britain, they have suffered a lot. Friends of Britain have been accommodated, accepted, and in fact pampered by the Britishers. And again I am saying that in return, Nehru was writing to Lady Mountbatten letters for years. And this is, I'm making a serious allegation, this is the biggest honey trap operation in the world.
Mr. Ranjit Savarkar, I'd like to also understand from you, this is not the first time that a senior Congress leader has said something against V.D. Savarkar. Why do you think this entire issue of he having helped the British is raked up every now and then? And I was just asking a member of the Congress party that when it is politically befitting them, then they go ahead and make a comment like this. But in places like a state like Maharashtra, they would not dare do that because they are allying with the faction of Shiv Sena.
Basically, this is a whole political game, and now the documents are being opened in British after 150 years. They have got a system. So more and more documents are coming out, and they are exposing the deeds of Congress. So they want to blame Savarkar. They want to blacken his name first, so that they will be hidden. And now more things are going to come out in open soon.
इस कैंपस का नाम, इस कॉलेज का नाम सावरकर जी की जगह डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी के नाम पे रखना चाहिए। देखिए, अभी कुछ ही दिनों पहले मनमोहन सिंह जी का देहांत हुआ है, पूरा देश भावुक है और वो पूरे देश के प्रधानमंत्री थे। और किस तरीके से डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी की जो जर्नी रही है, वो एकेडमिकल जर्नी कितनी फैंटास्टिक रही है, उसके लिए भी एक बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन रहेगा।
डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी को तो पूरा सम्मान मिलना ही चाहिए, पर कांग्रेस कम से कम इसके बारे में ना बोले। कांग्रेस पार्टी ये बताए कि जब 2013 में प्रणब मुखर्जी जी, उस समय के राष्ट्रपति, ने कहा भारत रत्न मिलना चाहिए, कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी और कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी के माध्यम से पुलोक चैटर्जी तक बात बढ़ाई ताकि सोनिया जी तक पहुंचे, तो सोनिया जी का क्या स्टैंड था? एनएसी किसने बनाया सुपर कैबिनेट के रूप में मनमोहन सिंह जी के ऊपर? किसने ऑर्डिनेंस फाड़ा? किसने डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी के नेशनल मॉर्निंग के पीरियड में पार्टी को ज्यादा अहमियत दी और विदेश निकल गए राहुल गांधी जी? कौन है जो उनकी अस्थि विसर्जन में भी शामिल नहीं हुए? जीते जी भी आपने डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह को सम्मान नहीं दिया। उद्धव जी, हिंदुत्व से समझौता, राम मंदिर से भी समझौता, सावरकर जी से भी समझौता, सियासी धर्मांतरण कर बैठे हो और आप हिंदुत्व का शेर नहीं, सेकुलरिज्म की भीगी बिल्ली बन चुके हो।
अच्छा, सावरकर जी को तो भारत रत्न देना चाहिए। हम तो बार बार मांगनी कर रहे हैं ना, शिवसेना तो बार बार मांगनी कर रहे हैं, सावरकर ये भारत रत्न इनको देना चाहिए। ये तो हमारी मांग बार बार रही है। अच्छा, सिर्फ सावरकर का नाम कॉलेज को होके नहीं चलेगा, सावरकर के विचार भी सब में लाना चाहिए। सरकार सिर्फ सावरकर का नाम लेती है लेकिन विचार तो नहीं लाती।
All right, let's quickly go across to Sharon, who's been tracking that story for us. Sharon, yet again, Veer Savarkar has become one of those leading freedom fighters and a figure who has also been bringing out the rifts between the ally partners as far as India alliance is concerned.
That is right, Akansha. And once again, the Congress party has in fact been saying when it comes to Veer Savarkar, he was never a freedom fighter. It is only the BJP that is trying hard to legitimize him as the freedom fighter. And in fact, Congress stand as far as the college being named after Veer Savarkar is that it should in fact be named after other freedom fighters who have laid down their life for the country. Apart from that, the NSUI has also now written to the Prime Minister saying that given the fact how Dr. Manmohan Singh's monumental contribution, including the Central Universities Act 2009 RTE, and establishing IITs, IIMs and AIMS across the country, this particular college should be named after Dr. Manmohan Singh rather than Veer Savarkar. And there is in fact a list of demands that has in fact been made by the NSUI where they have been saying that a world-class college under the University of Delhi should be named after Dr. Manmohan Singh, a central university dedicated to his name, and the inclusion of his life journey from a post-partition student to global icon is something that should be included in the curriculum of the students is the demand that is coming in from the NSUI. Now, tomorrow is when the Prime Minister is going to lay the foundation stone of the Veer Savarkar College. The college is going to be built only by 2026, but already, of course, the Congress is in fact taking portrait of the BJP, saying that they don't have any leader that they can claim to be part of the freedom struggle. When it comes to freedom fighters, BJP doesn't have any leader. That is why they try to steal other parties' leaders like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Subhash Chandra Bose. They try to steal the legacy of these leaders is the big claim that is coming in from the Congress party at this point.
All right, Sharon, thank you for bringing us all those latest inputs on that news story. And with that, let's quickly slip into a quick break. We'll be back with the latest breaking input. Stay tuned to Nation at 5.
Brought to you by...
All right, moving on to more news from United States. 15 people were killed and at least 35 injured after a man drove into large crowd in New Orleans, Louisiana in the early hours of New Year's Day. At about 3:15 local time on New Year's Day, a Ford pickup truck rammed into crowd gathered on Bourbon Street in the heart of New Orleans, and French Quarters is where the incident has happened. And the CCTV footage shows a white Ford F-150 lightning vehicle driving onto the pavement to get around a police car before hitting the pedestrians. Now, police described the act as very intentional, adding that the attacker, identified as Samshuddin Jabbar, was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did. I'm now joined by my colleague Akansha Swaroop on this broadcast. Akansha, give us more detail about this accused. What was his plan really when he rammed into this particular area?
A very good morning, Sharon. It's deeply tragic that the new year for Americans has begun on such a tragic, horrifying note. This entire incident is being treated as a terrorist act. Also, not to forget the fact that we're looking at this entire incident where 15 people have been declared dead. Now, the FBI, which is also going to is already investigating this entire matter, will be able to establish the motive better. But it's important to highlight that this person entered the U.S. border just 2 days ago, and which is why the U.S. President-elect has also, in fact, denounced this entire incident as an act of terrorism. He's also gone on to condemn and blame it on illegal immigration, remember, which was a very crucial issue during his own election campaigning. And he's gone on to react by saying that when I say that criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. The crime rate in our country is at a record level, but nobody has ever seen, a heart with all the innocent victims. And that's what he's now questioning, that how is such illegal immigration taking place, because this man entered the U.S. border 2 days prior to the attack through Texas. At the same time, the outgoing President Joe Biden has been also blasted for his tone-deaf reaction, because soon after the terror incident, the first tweet coming in from the U.S. President was Happy New Year, folks. And soon after, he was trolled, which is when he started reacting to the incident, and he's also gone on to talk about how he's already been briefed regarding the horrific incident that occurred in New Orleans. The FBI is taking the lead in the investigation and is investigating this entire act of terrorism. So, as far as these are the reactions, but the fact of the matter remains, Sharon, we've seen a similar incident happen where again it was an immigrant who had done it from Saudi Arabia in that Christmas market in Germany. So, yes, we'll have to see how Donald Trump now, the incoming new administration in the White House, responds to immigration. They're certainly going to be cracking the whip as far as illegal immigrants are concerned.
Akansha, I request you to please stay with us as we are getting a reaction from US President Joe Biden on this incident.
To all the families of those who were killed, to all those who were injured, to all the people of New Orleans who are grieving today, I want you to know, I grieve with you. Our nation grieves with you. We're going to stand with you as you mourn and as you heal in the weeks to come.
Akansha, like you also mentioned earlier, that how the accused had just entered US through Texas just 2 days back, and like you also mentioned that similar incident happened in Germany as well. At that point of time also we discussed how the refugees restrictions are going to of course increase. There's of course going to be a debate about how the refugees or the outsider enter the country. This is further going to of course escalate the entire debate over the issue.
Oh, absolutely it is, because Sharon, let's apart from Germany, if you focus on what's been happening in the United States, just days ago a lady was in fact burnt alive in the subway trains in New York City, and that was also done by an immigrant from Guatemala. He's in fact the identity of that person is he's a Guatemalan, and that again has given more ammunition to Donald Trump, the U.S. President-elect, to talk about it, and we'll have to in fact see what exactly was the motive of this terrorist who's involved in the New Orleans incident. As I've been mentioning, he crossed the border in his truck through Eagle Pass in Texas just 2 days ago. So it clearly seems that he wanted to disrupt these activities, because Bourbon Street, which is where this entire incident happened, is known to be a tourist hotspot. It's known for its nightlife. So you only had these innocent New Year revelers who were there, these party goers, 30 of them injured, 15 dead, deeply, deeply tragic incident, that too on New Year's.
All right, moving on to more news from United States. 15 people were killed and at least 35 injured after a man drove into large crowd in New Orleans, Louisiana in the early hours of New Year's Day. At about 3:15 local time on New Year's Day, a Ford pickup truck rammed into crowd gathered on Bourbon Street in the heart of New Orleans, and French Quarters is where the incident has happened. And the CCTV footage shows a white Ford F-150 lightning vehicle driving onto the pavement to get around a police car before hitting the pedestrians. Now, police described the act as very intentional, adding that the attacker, identified as Samshuddin Jabbar, was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did. I'm now joined by my colleague Akansha Swaroop on this broadcast. Akansha, give us more detail about this accused. What was his plan really when he rammed into this particular area?
A very good morning, Sharon. It's deeply tragic that the new year for Americans has begun on such a tragic, horrifying note. This entire incident is being treated as a terrorist act. Also, not to forget the fact that we're looking at this entire incident where 15 people have been declared dead. Now, the FBI, which is also going to is already investigating this entire matter, will be able to establish the motive better. But it's important to highlight that this person entered the U.S. border just 2 days ago, and which is why the U.S. President-elect has also, in fact, denounced this entire incident as an act of terrorism. He's also gone on to condemn and blame it on illegal immigration, remember, which was a very crucial issue during his own election campaigning. And he's gone on to react by saying that when I say that criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. The crime rate in our country is at a record level, but nobody has ever seen. Our hearts with all the innocent victims. And that's what he's now questioning, that how is such illegal immigration taking place, because this man entered the U.S. border 2 days prior to the attack through Texas. At the same time, the outgoing president, Joe Biden, has been also blasted for his tone-deaf reaction because of soon after the terror incident, the first tweet coming in.
Welcome back. We're getting in breaking inputs from Telangana. This is with regards to the Pushpa 2 stampede that had taken place at the theatre. In fact, we are now learning that the NHRC has stepped in and they have asked for a detailed report from the Telangana police, particularly from the Commissioner of Police in Hyderabad. They are asking, the NHRC has in fact given a deadline of 4 weeks to the Hyderabad police to come up with a detailed report with regards to why did they have to resort to that lathi charge as far as fans are concerned. Remember, the NHRC has stepped in soon after an advocate filed a complaint. Let's quickly go across to Ananya Bhattagar, who's joining me with more inputs on that news story. Ananya, what are you learning in terms of what are those focal points that are being probed by the NHRC in that detailed report?
Well, definitely the National Commission has now stepped in and asked for a state, action taken report from, in fact, the Hyderabad Police Commissioner and also the DGP of Telangana as to what has taken place, why did the police have to resort to a lathi charge, and unfortunately a life was lost in that stampede that occurred in Sandhya Theatre when, Pushpa 2 was being premiered. So very clearly at this particular point of time, 4 weeks' time has now been granted to, in fact, the police to actually file the responses. What happens next is something that only time can tell us.
All right, many thanks to you, Ananya, for bringing us all those inputs. And with that, let's now quickly shift attention over to Kerala. Remember, a controversy is brewing there in the state. This after Kerala's Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, in fact, slammed the take of the BJP government on Sanatana Dharma. He said that this is a deliberate attempt by the BJP to do so. His comments are now also being seen as an extension of DMK's Udayanidhi Stalin, and the BJP has in fact reacted already by saying that this as an insult to the Sanatana Dharma. At the same time, Kerala's opposition leader and Kerala Pradesh Congress Committee Vice President V.D. Satheesan has now slammed Chief Minister's Sanatana Dharma comment. He says that the Chief Minister's statement is only going to benefit the RSS. Now remember, Pinarayi Vijayan had made these comments while addressing the media in Thiruvananthapuram. He had reiterated that he would not retract his statement, asserting that attempts to present Sri Narayan Guru as a spokesperson for Sanatana Dharma were wrong, and that organized efforts are being made to portray Narayan Guru as the proponent of Sanatana Dharma, something that Pinarayi Vijayan claims that he is not. The comments have already sparked strong reactions from BJP leaders who've accused Vijayan of trying to woo the minority vote bank by sounding anti-Sanatani. Let's also listen into the reactions.
Go Brahmanobhyo Shubhamastu Nityam. Idana Totu Munbulla Avari. The Varnal Govinum, Ada Pashuvinum, Brahmananum, Sugundavate, and Nartha.
That's what I wish the my Parnagarian, I don't know the Avartachinokia and Dana. What I wish the mighty Anakarim Madi, Parian Samuel.
You stand by the same statement.
In the Samshia? Yan Parja Dandano, a Parja Nilkuno, Ningle Parja Ikila Jalpo Parja. Yan Parja Garingal or Chinilkuno.
चोरी फिर सीना जोरी, पहले सनातन का अपमान करना, फिर गर्व करना और उसी को अपनी पहचान बनाना, यही तो लेफ्ट पार्टीज, डीएमके, कांग्रेस, समाजवादी पार्टी, इंडिया अलायंस की पहचान बन चुकी है। लगातार हिंदू आस्था पर करो चोट, क्योंकि मिलना है वोट बैंक का वोट। जिस प्रकार की टिप्पणी पिनराई विजयन ने सनातन को लेकर की है, वो जानबूझकर सोच समझकर की है। क्योंकि मुस्लिम वोटों की तुष्टिकरण में कांग्रेस आगे निकल गई थी, वायनाड चुनाव जीत गई थी। तो अब कैसे वोट बैंक को वापस लाया जाए, और उसके लिए वोट बैंक की मिलेगी तब ताली जब देंगे हिंदुओं को गाली।
The Chief Minister at Shivgiri Varkala had said there is an effort by a certain section to portray Srinarayana Guru as someone who was a spokesperson or a practitioner of Sanatana Dharma, and that is not correct. Your first reactions on this?
I have made my dissent and the opinion made by the Honorable Chief Minister, because Sanatana Dharma is different from Varnasrama and the Chadurvarnya system. That was recently developed, later developed systems. That was the misinterpretation of the Sanatana Dharma by the clergy, not the Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma, now the Chief Minister is trying to give Sanatana Dharma. I think that is the cultural legacy of our nation. Now Chief Minister is trying to bring this Sanatana Dharma in the name of Sangha Parivar. Hindu and Hindutva are different. Hindu is a religion and it's a culture. Hindutva is a political agenda. It's a political agenda. Sanatana Dharma is the cultural legacy of India. That is, the Varnasrama and Chadurvarnya are not the part of Sanatana Dharma. Now the Chief Minister saying that it is all, just like saying that saffronization. I am against the word saffronization. All the persons, those who are wearing this saffron are not RSS, are not Sangha Parivar. Vivekananda was wearing saffron. There are so many persons, the congressmen, the CPM men, so many persons in Kerala and other places are wearing saffron.
You see, this is Mr. B.D. Sadishan's latest attempt to appease the Sangha Parivar RSS forces, because next year the election will be there. He thinks that the people of Kerala can be fooled, and he is actually trying to appease the RSS Sangha Parivar outfits who are there in Kerala, so that he thinks that he can become the Chief Minister of Kerala.
Without having proper knowledge about Sanatana Dharma, our Chief Minister had made such a statement, and it is contemptible. Vishwa Hindu Parishad Kerala has denied or condemned these type of behind the mainstream of the society. We condemn this type of or this type of the wordings of Chief Minister regarding Swami Sri Narayana Gurudevan, and it is against the total will of or the thinking of common Sanatana Dharma people in Kerala.
Right, so the Kerala Chief Minister has been claiming that Sri Narayan Guru is somebody who is emblematic for the new face of Dharma and not regressive, which is what he refers to as the form of Sanatana Dharma. But at the same time, what V.D. Sathisan has been highlighting is that this will only benefit the RSS, because remember, the Sri Narayanis or the Ehava community happens to be a traditional left vote bank, and that vote bank will now be miffed with the comments that have come in from the Kerala Chief Minister. We'll have to see how this plays out politically. And with that, it's a quick wrap from my end. Thank you so much for watching Nation at 5. Up next is Plain Speak with Griha.
Greenland Laminates presents CNN News 18 Primetime Studio.
Good evening and a warm welcome. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Griha. 3 deadly attacks have rocked the United States in a span of 2 days, triggering massive security concerns ahead of the Donald Trump taking charge as US President on January 28th. Now, in the first incident, a man intentionally drove a pickup truck into a crowd of revelers on Bourbon Street in New Orleans early on New Year's Day, killing at least 15 people and injuring dozens of others. A black ISIS flag was seen flying from the truck's rear bumper, and the attack is being investigated as an act of terrorism as per the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The man driving the vehicle has been identified as Shamsuddin Jabbar, a 42-year-old US citizen from Texas. So far, neither ISIS nor any other